is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, yeah. Now I hear you. There we go. There we go.
That was your Gary Stevens coming back at you thing. So it's funny because I was listening in backstage and Gary, the year that I spent down in Miami, he was the coordinator. So that was 97. And literally as I'm sitting there, like, dude could have been on The Sopranos before The Sopranos. That was kind of like the vibe that he kind of gave off.
Yes.
And he was just, real rough around the edges. I know, I remember OJ Brigance and we were on his ball club, but OJ McDuffie, Juice was like, yeah, man, sometimes he and Dan kind of get into it. And I was like, what do you mean? So we go up to New England and it was bad weather, whatever. Well, Dan does what Dan does. So we were watching the film on Monday and Gary's like sitting there. He's like, Dan, what are you doing? Like, I don't know if we should make that throw. Well, Dan was pissed because it was in the red zone and it was just an unreal Hall of Fame type of throw to the back of the end zone and just hit the receiver right between the numbers. And there was like 3 other defenders around. And he was like, what do you mean? Don't make that throw. He goes, get the F out of here, man. This is like, that was a great throw. That was he was like livid. He goes, but you know what? You tell me because like you play quarterback. He's like, man. So I was like, wow. OJ wasn't joking around. Them dudes, they kind of got at it real quick.
Yeah.
So my Gary Stevens soprano before the Sopranos.
Yes. And Gary is the guy that I don't think he would go over well with the millennials of today's football. I mean, that would be really rough for him overall.
It would be bad real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dan did that his whole life where he'd wing the ball right through the ear of a corner, right into a receiver's hands. He was like the best at that I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody time it so perfectly so often that he caught the DB not looking at him and the ball whizzes right by his ear into the receiver's hands. That was magical. Not a lot of guys can do that kind of stuff. And that's probably what Dan is telling Gary at that moment. What do you mean, dude? You should be amazed that very few people in the world can make that throw. That's what he's probably telling you.
There was maybe like 2 guys that I've seen that could make that throw, and it was him and Brett Favre at that time. Now you got guys like Lamar Jackson or Mahomes or Rodgers. I'm not even going to say Brady. I think Brady is just more along the lines. He's just Mr. Accuracy. He's going to find the open guy type of thing. But we're talking those special plays. There's a couple of guys that can make those special type throws. But Dan was certainly the catalyst to start the whole thing off.
Yeah, Russell can probably do that. Wilson is probably one of those kind of dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen him do that. Absolutely.
Those magical throws that you're just like, what the hell did he just do? And it just, it's beautiful when the athlete crosses the passer, because we have the athletes that play the passer, but when you are an athlete and you're a passer like Russell, oh my God, wow, what a combination that is just absolutely phenomenal. All right, so tonight, have you talked to the Ravens? Have you told them to just bring maybe only 25% of the heat, and because we're at a disadvantage down here in Miami? Have you talked to them already there, Qadry?
The thing that you're gonna see, and I think all the Dolphins fans are gonna really hope for, is that this Ravens defense isn't like Ravens defenses of old.
Right.
They're last in passing. They inexplicably give up big plays because of poor missed tackling. I mean, they'll be having the guy dead to rights, assignment football, all that. And then next thing you know, it's bad. And so, the way in which they've played I guess you can say at some point in time, they're going to clean it up. But I guess for Dolphin fans, I mean, they should be in their mind thinking, oh, God, let it not be this week. It is a short week, and usually that puts a lot more pressure on either offense. But from a defensive standpoint, they're going to look at the tape and be like, yo, we can make some big plays out here and make this a competitive game.
Yeah, the only thing is, if I'm the Ravens, I'm also looking at the tape going, they can't stop the run. And that's exactly what we do for a living, and we do it better than anybody else for the last 4 years since we've had Lamar. And so that's the other thing. And I know they have like 87 backs on the IR, and they have a couple more backs there that are active this week, but they still find a way to be effective running the ball. And that's the one thing that I think, I'm hoping that somehow or another Miami can play this magical game and shut down the run and force them to beat you, at least in passing the ball, because that's what I fear tonight, Qadry, is that Baltimore will be able to run and run freely and really dominate the ball on the ground.
So, yes, I think for Greg Roman, his mindset is, we're going to run until you try to stop us. I think what we've seen, though, from Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, we've seen this, hey, you guys are bringing this whole different defensive look on the first series, and it kind of, for a hot second can surprise a team. But with that said, with this short week, I wonder how much are we going to see some variety of different looks that really can confuse, the Ravens in particular, what, Lamar likes to do with the rushing attack. He's been great with the ball. He's been throwing the ball just with accuracy. The moment you think that, we're going to stuff the run and we're going to play up tight, they have a receiving core that's been just phenomenal with pushing the ball down the football field too. So, pick your poison. I mean, I think, yes, they're going to want to do it as far as running the ball, but, go ahead and doubt them or put them in a position where you think you have them. And I think that's where you, in this particular case, the Dolphins can get yourself in a world of hurt.
Okay, so let me ask you, let me put you, and I don't know how much you follow our sorry team down here, but if you're the Dolphins, and if you're going to try to, create an opportunity for them to try to make it interesting or even win this game, how would you do it if you're the Dolphins? What would you do offensively or defensively to attack the Ravens and try to exploit something that they can't do that you think Miami can do, which is really going to be a challenge for you?
Well, I mean, shoot, if you feel you can rush up the field and keep Lamar in the pocket, and not necessarily collapse the pocket, but keep, we call it two gapping, where, the DNs are rushing up the field in a one gap, meaning here's your assignment, go get them. But you got your defensive tackles where they have both the right and left side of the player. And so, that offensive lineman, now he's just, he's kind of like just controlling him at the line of scrimmage, and he can go either one way or the other based upon, what he sees. Keep that integrity. We saw it from Las Vegas, with Alejandro Villanueva having his difficulties. We saw it, against the Bengals. Again, Villanueva had some difficulties, as well as Phillips on the outside. So, if you have a pass rush and you feel like you can, get out and get to the edge, yet at the same time keep that upfront integrity, you'll have a chance. I think, again, I wouldn't want to live by the big play, so I wouldn't necessarily put my, DBs out on an island. I would say, if anything, you should feel like, we can go out there and, kind of keep a shell of a defense and keep everything in front of us, make the Ravens earn it. There were some times where teams didn't take advantage of interceptions or tip passes, and that came back to hurt them. So this Ravens team is a strong offensive football team for sure, but there's some opportunities if you can take advantage of them.
All right, and by the way, we're talking with Qadry Ismail. You can follow him on Twitter. I am Qadry Ismail, WJZ host. We'll wrap it up with this. It's gonna be a little bit of a long question, but I want to know from an outsider's point of view, and I'm sure you haven't watched a ton of our games because we're kind of unwatchable at times. But from what you've seen, okay, I look at this staff, and they did a great job the year one with no talent. They blew out the roster, and then they went 5-4 to end the year. No expectations. Then the following year, no expectations again. They go out and win the 10 games, which was pretty impressive. This year, and they've changed the coaching staffs over and over again. And that's kind of the whole thing why the Gary Stevens thing, because some guy told me Jimmy didn't have good coordinators. I'm like, well, actually, they had decent coordinators in those days. They had Stevens and Kippy, and then Norv actually came in after when Wani took over. So they were decent coordinators in those days. I tend to think this, Qadry, okay? And you're the player, dude. You played the game. You watch it. You forgot more than I do and than I know and most of these people out here. I'm looking at veteran players failing. I'm looking, the offense is not excelling. The defense is not excelling. The special teams has taken a step back. This year you came in with expectations. My problem is I'm watching all these young guys and veterans also struggle. I have a hard time believing, Qadry, that all these players are terrible. I think it's almost impossible that you drafted all the wrong players. Some of these guys
are you feeling like it's more a coaching staff, lack of putting guys in position to be successful?
Let me explain this. This is what Brian Flores thought of this year. He brought in 3 offensive coordinators to play one position. None of them have the experience of calling plays or creating offenses in the NFL ever. He brought in an offensive line coach that has no experience in the NFL at building offensive lines. He put 4 young offensive linemen, 3 of them in their second years, 1 of them in their rookie year, and a journeyman. And all of that to protect an inexperienced quarterback that hasn't played 1 year. I think you put in a batch of craziness and you actually added insanity to it to think that this was going to work, because there is nothing you can lean on experience-wise. There are no proven coaches. There are no proven players. On the offensive side, one lineman can't look at another. If you brought 2 or 3 linemen along, but you had 2 or 3 veterans in there, then I think things would have been better. But you got rid of your veterans and you made them all young, and I think you added a recipe for disaster. You can't do this in the NFL where everybody's inexperienced. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think for a Belichick coach offspring, you're looking at the way in which you try to control the game. And the game within the game is, I want to control guys, but veteran guys are going to balk at it. If I bring in young guys, then I can have a more sense of authority over them and how we do things, how we feel like, we prepare and practice and so forth, where some veteran guys might say, well, we did this at this place, we did this at that place. I think
they might be Dan Marino in a meeting.
Yes. And you don't want but now you as a staff have to also realize that, he did throw that touchdown. We wound up winning the game, so we need to go ahead and recognize. In other words, I think sometimes, it's the delicate balance of, you got to recognize talent, and you also have to recognize, coaching that talent. So from a recognition of talent, you might feel like, they check off all these boxes, but how do I get them to play with the level of chemistry that they need to play? And that's the secret sauce that Belichick seemingly doesn't share with his coaches when they leave him. I think he has this magical, mythical way of giving guys everything that they need to be successful, regardless of their years of experience in the league. Whereas I just don't think his assistants have figured that out, and when they leave underneath that wing, they get a stark dose of reality. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, no, and right now it's not working, man. And I feel terrible right now for the Dolphin Nation because it's a cycle we've been in for 25 years. You were part of this cycle, and it's just it's been a tough go, man. It's been a tough one. Qadry, as always, I appreciate your friendship over the years. I always appreciate you giving us time here on the program, my man. Enjoy the game tonight, my friend, because I'm sure you will. And sadly, we probably won't, my friend. But thank you as always.
Absolutely appreciate you having me on, Big O. And I'm sure y'all gonna have some fun down there and hanging out with Raven Nation, because from what I understand, the flock is out and ready to take over South Beach.
Just bring the crab cakes. That's all we ask. All right, baby. You be good. Thank you, my brother.
Take care, brother.
You got it. There you go.